He tried to seek justice for a little young man who lost 4 of his fingers, half of his hand. Now they want to jail Sharma, and that is wrong. Sharma, tell them you not take no jail. Even if them jail you, you're going to get bail. All them big boys them having in parliament don't care about the poor who live in a tent. So all who here to seek justice, pull up on a hand. All of the Guyanese them, all who here to seek justice, pull up on a hand. If I tell if you vote for. So, justice for all party, vote for justice, and you will be free. Me tell them on them. Justice for all party, vote for justice, and you will be free. Sharma, we need someone like you, who could make all our dreams come true. Innocent people being beaten up by the police, so tell me where is justice? Sharma, show them the bogle, show them you're cool, show them you're simple. This is not about race, it is about truth. A tree can't grow without a root. So all who here to seek justice, pull up on a hand. All of the Guyanese them, all who here to seek justice, pull up on a hand. Take that from me, see.
Mr. Colonel, welcome to the program to Vice Secretary. Sanki, welcome to the program, Vice Secretary.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Mr. Green, there's some burning issue we're dealing with today. What's some of the burning issue you know about?
Well, we've just had a teacher strike last week.
Yes.
We've had the problem with oil. We've had the issues of the Chamber of Commerce and local content with the proposed MOU with the Trinidad government.
Yes.
To me, those are the 3 top issues that consumed our attention over the past few days. The teacher strike was unfortunate. The teachers have been asking for increases for some time now, and I believe that there was a level of immaturity on maybe both sides that led to the impasse. The statement by the minister responsible for labor is tragic, unfortunate, and unacceptable. And I speak as a strong supporter of the president and the coalition.
Okay.
That minister should have been asked to resign.
Okay.
I have been in public life since 1953.
Yes.
And I don't know, even in the difficult days when there were political strikes, that any minister of labor, including myself, could make those unsavory remarks describing a group of people who work hard. And I don't know that an apology is sufficient. These days, the problem we have is that many of our people in positions didn't go through the crucible of the struggle.
Okay.
First of all, they had no idea of the independence struggle, which in fact started from 1763, 1823, into the 50s, Burnham and Jagan. So they have no idea. They have a concept, and if they don't read, they won't have an appreciation. Secondly, I don't think they understand the ravages of the Cold War, which consumed all of us after the Second World War up until the late 80s, when Gorbachev introduced Boy Striker, and that damaged the fabric of many societies. And third, as we said at a meeting after the PANAF thing, a lot of people in top positions don't understand the impact of the Bretton Woods financial institutions, established in 1944-45, which in fact control the finances of particularly third world countries since that time. Many of us try to get out of it. People started the third world movement, the non-aligned movement, all in an effort to extricate themselves from the Bretton Woods financial institutions. But unless people in office understand the complexities of those 3 issues, they're not mentally and psychologically prepared to deal with simple issues. When a minister can describe a group of workers as being lazy, it is unacceptable. And I don't accept the apology. As I said, I'm a strong supporter of this coalition, but he should have resigned or been cashiered.
But he's still a strong supporter of the coalition. He's still supporting the coalition.
If he,
You still supporting coalition?
who?
You.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And support the president.
Yes.
But that don't mean I must support nonsense
Yes,
and
okay.
improper behavior.
Okay.
If I'm part of a family,
Yes.
I should have the strength to say that a family member has gone wrong
Yeah, pull him up.
and pull him up.
Yes.
And in some cases, ask him to take leave of the family for the time being.
Yes.
That's my position.
What do you think about our situation now in Trinidad? In Trinidad.
It's very complex. You see, oil in Trinidad is having its adverse effects. We have fantastic opportunities, but we need the men with the skill, the experience to guide us. The president is trying, but he needs a team of people. And I think he's attempted to do that by assembling a group of advisors. Oil is not a simple matter. A lot of pundits are writing in the papers, but oil since the 50s has taken on significance. People forget the oil crisis. People forget what the oil producing countries did.
Yeah.
And people forget that Guyana is a little speck. We only loom large because they had the enormity and the grandeur of a man called Burnham.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, we're less than 1 million people.
Okay.
And we must understand we've got to walk cautiously and not think that we can just overnight overcome what can be our own oil crisis.
Yes.
I made the point on this station some time ago to the critics. I've been around for a long time. I remember as a young man being told that we have oil in Guyana.
Yes, that's true.
When I was in the cabinet, we had samples brought us from the oil at Takatu, saying it's about as good as the purity of the Nigerian oil. Nothing happened. We had, first of all, the objection by Venezuela. We had internal problems. We had manganese, where the people claimed they were mining in an inverted cone. Because we were part of a movement that the bigger fellas didn't want us to go ahead. Now that, for whatever reason, Exxon has explored, found oil, and prepared to move forward, we've got to go bit by bit and understand it's been a long journey.
Yes.
And don't expect miracles.
Yeah.
Don't expect perfection.
Yes.
But if we have the intellectual capacity and the men with the perspicacity and the wisdom, we can use this opportunity so that we bequeath to the next generation a country that is prosperous, where there's harmony, and we can enjoy the fruits of our patrimony. That's where I stand.
Mr. Green, I think the teacher need a better salary. So what do you think about that?
Absolutely, there's no question about that.
Okay.
It's a question of negotiating skills by the ministers.
Yes.
As I said before, I think they lack the capacity.
Yes.
These are matters that shouldn't cause a strike.
Okay.
I went out there one day, and I didn't get the impression, speaking to any of the teachers, including some of the officials, that they were anti-government. It's not like the days of Gawu strike and the days when we had CCW. These people, I got the impression, are basically supporters of the government.
Yes.
All they want is someone to listen to them. And if they ask for 10, well, talk. We can only give you 7. Talk, you get 8.
Yes.
That's what you do around the negotiation table. And this arrogance about telling people they're lazy is unacceptable, completely unacceptable.
Sangi?
Yes.
Opening remarks.
Well, I would first speak about the oil and gas situation, where there's a cry by the private sector as well as the opposition leader, Barra Jack, for the memorandum of understanding with Trinidad and Tobago to be made public, and that is a legitimate request. We need to know what it is, so that it will be above suspicion. You would be above suspicion. But Trinidad has had a lot of expertise in this area. I know that when I worked in Suriname, they were helped. A lot of Trinidadians are working in Suriname on the oil rigs, etc. And I used to meet some of them when I was there. So I know they have a lot of expertise. But what I'm saying is that as we're speaking of local content. If we have skilled people too from Guyana, that they should be given first preference. But Trinidad has a lot of expertise.
Oh.
Now with the question of the teachers,
Yes.
in the newspapers it is reported that Mr. Light said that he was willing to accept 20%. As Mr. Green just mentioned,
Yes.
our negotiating skills are not so good. We need to have people, right-hand people in these ministries who could negotiate, just like how we needed people who could negotiate
Yes,
the oil deal.
yes.
We need to have people. The Labour Department need. I know Mr. Charles Ogle himself is a product of the University of Ghana,
Oh.
right? I know. I taught him at UT too.
Yes.
But what I'm saying, we need people who are skilled in negotiating. As I said, my area of expertise is
Yes,
industrial
yes,
relations.
yes.
So I could have been on the team
Yes.
if they wanted somebody
Yes.
to. But the guy was willing to accept 20%, they say. Now, what is happening? The big question is, who will be the chairman of the arbitration panel? Remember, the teachers will recommend one person, government will recommend the other, and then the third person is a key person,
Who do you think shall to be the chairman?
Well, it could be anybody, it could be me.
They're to meet on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're to meet on Tuesday.
yes.
Yes.
Now, besides that, we noticed that gold production for the first 8 months of the year has been down. According to the newspapers, it's at 32,000 ounces, which is a big amount. But Mr. Lal, GHK Lal, said we shouldn't worry about that, really. It will pick up. They said weather and the bad roads contributed very much to the present situation, but there are probably other factors
Yes.
too. But that should improve before year end, because for them to meet the target that they have. Now, the NIS, I keep emphasizing the NIS because this NIS came into being in 1969, if my memory serves me right. And they've served the country, but what has happened during Jack Dew's time? Remember the collapse of CLECO? A lot of the money from NIS went down the drain with the collapse of the Colonial Life insurance company. And since then, it seems as if legitimate benefits are not being given to people. Before they said if you reach age 60 and a disease doesn't appear, they wouldn't cover you or what have you. But now it seems even when you have that criteria met, it has dropped from whatever it was before, 75 or 80%. You get in. I myself can speak from personal experience. I got like 42% of what expenses I had for hospitalization recently. This is ridiculous. And as I said, Jack Dew himself contributed to that. But we need to rectify the situation there. People must get their full benefits. I think something should be done. The second thing about NIS, they take long time before they give you your remuneration. It took me 5 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
It shouldn't take that long.
You got your money? You got your money already?
I got some money for
So
that.
like
for
how
that
much?
service. It was like 42% of what. That is, I spent 1.8 million.
Okay.
It was like 700 and something
Yes,
thousand.
Explain to him how difficult it was for you to get it.
How difficult! I had to ask to get some help from my friend here.
Yeah.
If he knew somebody,
Yeah.
who, it was so difficult.
They're not supposed to be. They're not supposed to be at all.
No, it should not be happening. We
that's
got to have
something
contacts to get through.
Yes.
You should have, the ordinary person should be able to get quick and prompt response from
Yes.
NIS. And they're all in one building in
Yes,
Brickdam.
yes.
You didn't have to send
Yes,
something
yes,
somewhere else or
yes,
whatnot.
yes.
Upstairs, downstairs.
Yes, yes.
What is taking so long?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
What is happening here?
Yeah.
If I may.
Rama,
If
your
I may,
opening remarks.
I wanted to continue on what he said, because this government is here for 3 years
Yeah.
now. And sometimes when we defend the government,
Yeah.
people think that we are defending it because we're supporters of the government.
More good.
The truth of the matter is that there are so much. The last program we had, you remember, seeing, I said that the hydro seed that we experience is so large that I don't think we have any surgeons here who can actually bring up import somebody from abroad to deal with it. So this is what we're faced with. And I wrote an article this morning in response to someone who said, who was saying that the men around the president are not doing their work. That is true. Mr. Bill is a bit closer to some of the people here, so maybe he can make some comment about it. But a president cannot know or do the things that are necessary to be done. That's why we have ministers, we have a cabinet. The difficulty that we are facing is that we had to remove the PPP. So we had to join with forces that we probably didn't like, to the best of our...
Yeah.
And we joined with those people, the AFC, and whether you like it or not, the fact of the matter is this local government election will prove my point that they are a party who are unfit to be in the coalition. So we are burdened at this moment to restructure, reorganize the society, and that's where you come in. You play an important role. And Guyanese who are looking at this program here and abroad, you need to give recognition, honestly, to CN Sharma.
Yeah.
Because I remember the days how you went 10 years ago to every corner of this country.
Yeah. 15 years ago.
Yes.
15 years ago.
To bring graphically to the eyes of people,
Yeah, that's right.
the suffering of people in all sectors of society, in housing, in education, in health, in the bad roads, drainage and irrigation, infrastructure, just name it, it is there.
Agriculture too, agriculture.
Yes,
Yeah.
in general. And you have the graphic, you can produce it anytime, so there's no fiction about that. And when people are talking about they wanted changes in this country, they have to vote for people who are capable, who are competent, and who are honest. Above everything else, they're honest about what they say they're going to do. And when we read over and over the manifesto of the Justice for All Party, you see it coincides with the ethos of this government, of free education, health, things that Mr. Burnham talked about and achieved a lot of it, single-handedly in some cases because he was opposed by the certain elements within the PPP. I think Chetty made a lot of effort to work with Burnham to achieve a lot of things in this country, and that must be recognized. So they laid a basis for this whole concept of coalition. Unfortunately, forces on both sides didn't allow it to happen. Well, that's another discussion. The important point I'm trying to make to you, when I see what happened in this teacher strike, I was fortunate enough to be on one of the blogs which had 193 teachers on it. And I was very surprised and shocked by the level of discussion that it had in that blog. It tells a lot about the level of the teachers. If we have people like that, a lot of them, who are telling you they don't want anything to do with politics, that's a serious indictment. Serious indictment. They could not have done that with a Jagan government or a Burnham government. We could not have teachers who were saying that they were not interested in politics.
Okay.
But politics determines every single thing that goes on in this country, all our lives, because it governs economics.
Yeah.
What type of economic policy we have determines where we work, what we do, where we sleep, what kind of house we have, and what kind of health system or transportation system we have.
Yeah.
So we have inherited, I use the word inherit, we have inherited a chaotic society, particularly under the Jagdeo period. And he must take blame. He can't come and think that all the things that he did could be erased. And he's asking some of the right questions to this government. He's putting them on guard. That is correct. But the point is, he shouldn't be doing it, Mr. Sharma.
Yes.
He should not be doing that because he does not have the moral authority to be asking those kind of questions. He should not even be the leader of the PPP, which is a powerful organization that I grew up in. He should not be the leader of that party, and I'm happy to say that he's being challenged.
You was a POI that time.
I was a member of POI.
Yes,
I'm
I
about
could
to
remember
write. I'm about to write.
Yes, I could remember that.
It is this, for those people
POI.
who were in the POIO, it is the 66th anniversary of the POIO.
That's right.
Right. And you had people like Moses Bagwan, who was one-time chairman, Ali Majid, and people of that caliber.
Yes.
I don't recall the Prime Minister holding any position. No, well, he was a young YSM.
Yes.
They changed.
Yes.
They now changed the name. The YSM was called young socialist movement, but they took out the word socialist from it. And Mr. Hamilton can explain that. I don't know why they did that.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Green, give us a comment.
The line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's take some calls.
Carly, hello? Yes, I can. Yes, your comment, please.
We've got to find a consensus in our country. We've got to find men with integrity, intelligence who understand the history of this country. I've said so umpteen times. And the problem is, too many people don't seek the wise counsel of those who've gone the road.
That's right.
I must say there are 1 or 2 ministers who call me regularly on certain matters, and I offer my advice, and they often take it.
Hold the line for me, please. Hold the line, please.
Others are just around.
Yes. Carly, here, hello?
Good day, Mr. Sharma.
Good day.
I'm calling concerning the teachers. Some
Yeah.
of the teachers, most of the teachers are fighting to get more salary.
Yes.
And when they're done, some of them selling more than they teach the children in school.
Okay.
They're on the phone, they're texting,
Okay.
and all of these things.
Okay.
I think they need to look into these situations with some of these teachers. Get somebody to check them,
Okay.
because they're not supposed to be selling. They sell more than they teach in class.
Okay. I didn't know about that.
Yes, all of that. Some of the school do that.
Yes.
You see,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
we must be careful to separate issues.
Yes.
The question of purported, assumed, or real indiscipline amongst some of the teachers is a matter that the government and the ministry must take up. You have the PTAs, you have the community councils. These are matters that are of general concern. We've lost a whole generation.
Yeah.
I said so. We've lost a whole generation between 92 and 2015. We've lost a generation of decency, of what is right and what is wrong. And a lot of those people don't know the difference. And we have got to salvage that. It's not easy. It's like a revolution. And you grew up with some...
Yes, hold the line for me, please. Hold the line, please.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hold the line for me, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Sharma. Mr.
Oh.
Green and the panel.
Yes.
A few weeks ago, I spoke about the goal in the interior when
Yeah.
the road was bad, and I told Tripod that the government could assist the miners with fuel from Brazil, right? He said it was up to the government to determine that. Now look at this. For the first 8 months of this year, gold has dropped by 32,000 ounces.
Yes.
And most is from the small miners who have difficulty in getting fuel. You see how the government messing up things? When I make that suggestion, I first say, it's up to the finance minister to deal with that. Now look at it. 32,000 ounces gone. Right? And that's a reduction over 2016, 2017.
Yes.
You see what's going on? This government needs to take drastic action.
So what action you propose?
You should have negotiated with the miners so that they can buy the fuel at a cheaper rate from Brazil.
Okay.
Because the road, the tankers cannot pass with the fuel. So the small miners are being bugged. That's the problem.
Oh.
I'm looking showing now.
Thank you.
2,000 ounces.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Glass.
Mr. Freeman is a fair comment on this gold situation.
The gold situation has
Yeah, yes.
two sides.
Yes. So come on one side. Yes.
Sometimes the official figures of a
Yeah,
gold declaration are deceptive. I have tried all my life to help the small miners. In fact, a group came to me just a few weeks ago. They are at a disadvantage in that they're competing with the big fellows. But very often the declarations you get officially are not the whole story.
Exactly.
Because the big chaps, and we have evidence of it over years, are not declaring all the gold that they harvest.
Correct.
And I agree with him that something should be done to help the small miners, because it's the ancestors of the small miners who found the gold in the first place. And it pains me
Pork knuckles.
when I look around and the main beneficiaries of gold in this country are alien and whose ancestors didn't go over those falls
Okay.
and take chances. And something has to be wrong.
But you had suggested a massive reorganization. I remember you keep saying it over and over again about blocking the place, sorting out and getting some kind
I
of...
propose that in the European situation where there are several groups competing for the same space. And for me, I would have sent off the alien man who has been using a few people to exploit our local people, including the Amerindians.
Courtney, hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I want to think about the teachers.
Yes.
If the teachers need salaries increased,
Yes.
and dispute of
Yes.
what Color just said, it needs to invest in some of these teachers.
You gotta speak louder. I can't hear you so good.
Somebody teachers need to be invested.
Yes.
Now, what I'm proposing that if a teacher, if you want to know who working and who not working,
Okay.
every term,
Yes.
the class teacher to another school to mark.
Okay.
Now, if they mark it and you know how many percent of the children in that particular class are making progress,
Okay.
that are not doing right. Now, if the teacher is gaining, they're texting, they're doing all what the fancy things, they're not teaching. Most of some of the teachers want private lesson home.
Yes.
They're telling us, go on, the parents, oh, the teacher is not functioning enough in school, they are not doing, some of them are not doing their job. Which who doing their job now, and if somebody doing it, they're not doing anything. No, they want, everybody wants to cross both 100%.
Yes.
But are they giving 99.1%? No. They're just telling the teachers, jumping up and say, oh, they want this. A promise, good. But if you cannot, you want a promise, but are you doing the promise that the person I promise you give you money? No, they're not doing that. They're selling and do all sorts of nonsense in school. Some of them is going in clacking for their friends.
Yes.
Them at a school, a college, and the college come until 10,
Yes.
1 o'clock,
Yes.
whatever during the day, and
Yes.
at classes. Now the TV headmistress said, oh, something about the teacher. This is a lame excuse. No part in the world. You don't make lame excuse and go to school, they suspend, or you cut your salary.
Yeah.
As you go, the school need to put in these kind of things that the government is finger thing, checking clacking time. So you know who clacking and who clacking later.
Yeah.
When these things are happening, the government needs to put very serious
Yes.
sanction some of these people, and because if it doesn't do that, just like private sector, if somebody comes
Yeah.
to you work and you work late, you ask them why they come
Yes.
work late. They must have some tangible
Okay.
explanation.
Okay.
So as the government needs to put their foot where their mouth is.
Okay.
But everybody needs to go away, go
Yes.
along with it.
Yes.
Very strict in the section in the rules.
Okay.
The rules cannot work like that. Some
Thank you very much.
o'clock, and then go 1 o'clock and paying claiming
Okay.
all
Okay.
the salary.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Salary.
Cut come here. Let me talk about agriculture. Raman, let me talk about agriculture now. We're very important. Just like gold, just like gold.
Well,
Yeah.
I was coming down
Yeah,
the,
yes.
one of the
Yes.
reasons why I was
Yes.
late because it was
Yes.
raining over there.
Yes.
And I was coming down the road and I had to drive very carefully because
Yes.
the farmers...
You was singing good?
Yeah, I see very well.
Okay,
I have no
okay.
problem
Okay, okay.
singing.
Yes, yes. Yes.
And the farmers are coming out with their paddy and so on.
Yes.
Obviously, some of the farmers I know down there, but there is no facility for them to wash the tractor wheel.
Oh.
So they're coming out with all heavy mud on the
Yes,
main road,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is very
Very dangerous.
dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
That's right.
And that mud is not, I assure you, it's not going to come off until another 2-3 months.
Yes.
So what I'm saying to you is that we need to pay more attention to our farmers because they are the producers. And Mr. Green made a very significant point. He said that we've lost a generation of people who were teachers, not only in schools, but our elders. And those people were people who had respect, they had kindness, courtesy, and they had care, more importantly, for the fellow human beings. So what we have now is greed and selfishness and aberration. People do not care for their neighbors. Love thy neighbor as thyself, as you would say. What do you say in Hinduism? What did you say?
Yeah.
What do you say in Hinduism?
I can't answer.
The question is,
Yes.
you don't remember. The question is, say, love thy neighbor as thyself.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the Muslims say now,
Okay.
but I will tell you another day.
Yes.
But the point is, going back to the question, Mr. Hamilton, he touched the nerve.
Yeah.
We cannot, as a government, go to everybody's house and tell them how to behave.
Okay.
But they must have a civic duty. So on the question of agriculture, we have a useless Minister of Agriculture.
Why you say that? Why you say that?
And I understand,
Why you can't the agriculture minister
and
say
I
everything?
understand that the because he's just useless, I'm telling you. Because
How you know that?
watch, look. When you had previous minister, Mr.
Yeah.
Green knows that.
Yeah.
During Mr. Burnham's time, the ministers visit the farms.
That's true. That's true.
And he has a connection what you call extension
that's true.
officers.
Yeah.
Agriculture,
That's
etc.
right.
Yes,
That's right.
and so there was a system. So when elements in the PPP, some of the Gagderites make criticism of the Burnham government,
Yeah.
they must be careful, we must be truthful, and must be objective. We had those systems there. In fact, we had those systems during the Dragon time when he was premier.
Yeah.
And then that proceeded.
Yeah.
So what we have now, Mr. Sharma,
Yeah.
and I hope that the 2020 election, I am so happy that the ALC went on their own, they were
Yeah,
pushed out
yes.
to go on their own because
Yeah.
they will be tested. They will be tested
Yeah,
there. I'm
yeah.
sorry, as the last program I said, that you were ill.
Yeah.
Because if you were here, we would have stood candidates
Yes.
around the country.
Yeah. That's
But-
true. That's
but
true.
I am going out
Yeah.
supporting the APNU candidates.
Okay.
And I am showing how if we get candidates, and you'll be very surprised. We
Yeah.
talked about social cohesion.
Yes.
If you know how much Indian councillors that are standing
Okay.
on the APNU ticket.
Okay.
So it's not clouded.
Yeah.
They are clearly APNU.
Okay.
And that shows that there are changes that are taking place in this country.
Yeah, but there must be
And we have,
changes.
and we have,
Yeah.
and we as